Welcome everyone to the Zalon. I'm thrilled to present to you an inspiring and very beautiful program. Some brief background for those of you who are new. I started my Philadelphia salon in 1986 to continue a centuries-old tradition of music in the home, to foster collaboration amongst artists, and to help build a vital and joyful community around the arts. During these 34 years with Salons Monthly, there have been well over 8,000 performers and 18,000 audience members coming through my living room and now the virtual stage. Salons can be traced back to ancient Greece and Rome, where hosts would invite guests over for intellectual discourse and debate and lots of drinking. These literary gatherings flourished in the 17th and 18th centuries in Italy and France, and they were known by the room in which they were held. The salon was the French parlor. In the 19th century, these salons came to include more musicians and artists. I was inspired by the vital artistic collaborative spirit in early 20th century Paris and by important salonières, including Americans Gertrude Stein and Mabel Dodge. I wanted to create a contemporary spin on the European salons, presenting not only classical chamber music, but also jazz, world music, contemporary music, folk, dance, and many genre-bending forms, as you'll hear tonight. This evening, you will hear 9 performances with artists from their homes and studios in New York City, LA, Philadelphia, Chicago, Taos, and other cities. I'll offer a short intro to each performer. However, I encourage you to peruse the program page on our website to learn more about these amazing artists, and that link is in the chat. Please consider donating to support the performers. Even though things are opening up gradually, many artists have lost work for well over a year from the pandemic, and every little bit helps. You can make a simple tax-deductible donation through our fiscal sponsor, Crossroads Music, and that link is also provided in the chat, and you'll see it throughout this evening. You can also find it on our website, zalonarts.org. I'm so grateful to my friend Gerardo Rizzumni for setting up this platform so that you can make easy donations. The donations go to the performers, and my team and I volunteer. You may opt to donate a portion to salon expenses. I'm so excited about the salon's 35-year anniversary, which is coming up on September 26th, and I've planned an awesome hybrid program for that special celebration, both here in my home and remote, all streamed in and streamed out, and a trial hybrid here on July 25th, next month. If you're not on my list and you'd like to receive updates, please email me through my website at andreaclearfield.com. Lastly, teamwork is everything for the Zalon, and I feel incredibly fortunate to be working with a fabulous team of engineers who can make the music sing even on Zoom. You can learn more about the team by clicking on the link in the chat. Shout out to our tech team director, Adam Vidixis, lead engineer, Jonah Pfluger, engineer and web manager, Les Samakis, engineer, Alex Glass, engineer and treasurer, Gerardo Rizzumni, and plus helping me out on the Salon archive team is Gerardo and our intern from Muhlenberg College, Rebecca Zipper. Let's send some love to the amazing Zalon team. I'm pleased now to introduce you to our first performers who are going to share music from the tradition that inspired this series, the salons of 19th century Paris. Let's give a warm welcome, performing from New York City, to soprano Heather Antonissen and pianist Chérie Roe. Come join us, Heather and Cherie, while I shower you with praise. Heather Antonissen is a classically trained singer, playwright, conductor, composer, and teacher from Anchorage, Alaska. A graduate of the New England Conservatory, Heather's performed throughout the US as concert soloist, opera lead, recitalist, and cabaret artist. She also creates one-woman shows and has been featured throughout the Southwest. Performing with Heather is Chérie Roe, a collaborative pianist and vocal coach in New York. She's performed in concert all over the world, including 9 times at Carnegie Hall. She's also served as music director and coach of many opera companies. Chérie was on staff at Juilliard, Madison, NYU, and now has her own private studio. For these artists and all the other artists tonight, there are so many accolades that I could list, but it's impossible to list them all. So please do go to our artist page to learn more about them. And now I'll turn things over to Heather Antonissen and Chérie Roe.
This next piece that we are going to sing is next piece that we're going to sing is from Hector Berlioz's Les Nuits d'été. It's the last song of the song cycle called L'Île Inconnue, the Unknown Isle. And it's a couple sitting in some romantic paradise, and the male is, well, actually one of the lovers, I'm assuming it's a male in my story, is telling all of these wonderful things of places that he and his lover could go. They could go to the Isle of Java, they can go to Norway and cut snowflowers, and he's just like, tell me where you would like to go. And then after a lot of dreaming and, you know, pontificating and enthusiasm, she's like, I want to go where lovers are faithful. And he's like, oh, sorry, that place doesn't exist. Nobody knows where that is. And, you know, of course we like to just take that at face value, but I've been wondering about the subtext of that, being a writer. And I like to think that, you know, he's having fun, you know, gallivanting around, you know, being romantic, and she's like, all right, we've been doing this for a while, and I would like to have something that's a little bit more substantial. And he's like, oh boy. So he kind of dodges the question and tries to keep her entertained, but you can interpret the song as you will, but we're going to, we're going to perform it for you and let you be the prism.
Thank you so much, Heather and Cherie. I love that Ravel habanera, and I know that you've sung Carmen many times, so
Yes.
you're quite familiar with that rhythm. That was a beautiful set. Thank you for tying that into salon history. That was just lovely. Heather, Antonissen and Chérie Roe. Let's give them all another round of applause. So much. I know that our next performer, Nancy Laupheimer, is she ready? Okay, good, Nancy. I'm so glad to have you. As many of you know, I'm a composer and I feel strongly about the music of our day. I'm thrilled that on this particular salon, there are quite a few pieces by living composers. Although new music may feel unfamiliar to some of you, I invite you to drop down and listen deeply, staying open to what you might receive. It might be surprising. It might stir your soul. Aaron Copland wrote that contemporary music is meant to stir and excite you, to move you, to wake you up. So with that in mind, I'm delighted to welcome our next performer, a wonderful friend and musician and colleague from Taos, New Mexico, Nancy Laupheimer. Nancy has had a varied career that's included composing, playing flute in jazz and world music groups, and even on river rafting trips. She's performed with many classical music organizations in New Mexico, and she is the founder of the Taos Chamber Music Group, which has presented 28 seasons of wonderful concerts in Taos. The organization brings together some of the finest musicians from around the world. I've been fortunate to have had the opportunity to collaborate with Nancy, who has programmed and commissioned some of my work on the Taos Chamber Music Group series. Tonight, Nancy will perform Imaginary Companions for flute and imaginary string orchestra, composed by Pascal Le Boeuf, with a backing track by cellist Zan Berry. Help me welcome Nancy Laupheimer to the virtual stage to perform for us from her home in Taos, New Mexico.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Andrea, for making this finally happen. I know we've talked about my coming to a salon for years, and it took the virtual platform to do it. I'm very pleased to be able to have another opportunity to play a piece that was written for me at the end of 2020 by Pascal Le Boeuf, who's just an amazing person and composer. I only know him via Zoom, but it was one of these pandemic connections that was so powerful and resulted in him writing a piece for me that the Taos Chamber Music Group commissioned. And not only was this work commissioned, but it was the first of 3. And just on Saturday, Taos Chamber Music Group presented all 3 of the new works that were commissioned during the pandemic for a live in-person audience at the Taos Community Auditorium. So we were thrilled with that. When I asked or talked to Pascal about this piece, we were really exploring that shift in the sense of time that so many of us went through, the sort of interior places we were forced to live with, and the way that new connections were being made. So all of those things factored into Imaginary Companions. As Andrea said, it has a backing track. A friend, again, someone I've never met except online, of Pascal's, a cellist, provided him with what he called a drum kit of cello sounds, and then Pascal layered and manipulated them to become the backing track, which I hope will work and will be balanced with the flute. I've performed this now in several different kinds of settings, and it's always a new experience. And also because Pascal, who's an incredible jazz pianist and improviser, he didn't really notate this in the traditional way, particularly rhythmically. There's a lot of freedom. So every time the piece is played, it's just slightly different. But it's been a wonderful companion for me during this time of relative isolation, and I hope you enjoy it.
Bravo. Bravo.
Nancy!
Bravo. What an extraordinary piece. Can you show us a glimpse of the score?
Oh, sure.
While she's doing that, I just wanted to read what David Clowney wrote, because I do agree. Wonderful piece, haunting and evocative, and such wonderful control and use of your instrument's possibilities. I feel like it took us on a journey. There was such a story there, and places of vulnerability and places of tension and places of peace and internal and external, and sounded like it had a very expansive ending.
What I liked so much is the contrast between playfulness with the imaginary companions and then passion and just, but here's a page that sort of shows that, I don't know if you can see it, that it's not really notated in a typical way. Maybe that
So
was.
it doesn't have many bar lines.
Yeah, that page just shifted, but anyway, yeah.
So you get your cues from the audio.
You have to really learn the audio, and what I found fulfilling and nourishing when we couldn't get together and play, even though it was a pre-recorded track, I got the sense that I really had to develop the sensitivity to work with it in the same way that I would live with people.
Well, it felt like a real friend. And a beautiful performance, Nancy. Thank you so much. And when you do speak to Pascal, I know that he wanted to be with us tonight, but he had a recording session. Please do thank him for us. That's Pascal Le Boeuf is the composer, Nancy Laupheimer, performer. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'd love to chat with you after the Zalon, so if you can stay, there'll be more of an opportunity to discuss this collaboration between the flute and the solo performer and this imaginary landscape. I can see how it would be so fulfilling for you, especially learning it during a time of isolation. Our next performer is also a composer and a remarkably versatile musician. I'm so pleased to welcome back to the Zalon Tom Kraines, a graduate of the Curtis Institute of Music and the Juilliard School, who's forged a multifaceted career as a cellist and composer. Tom is equally comfortable with improvisation, new music, and traditional repertoire. He's performed around the world as cellist of the Daedalus Quartet, and also frequently performs with Network for New Music and Philadelphia-based free jazz groups. Tom will perform a set of original compositions based on James Joyce's Ulysses. Let's give a warm welcome to Tom Kraines, who's returning to the virtual stage, performing from his home in Philadelphia. Here's Tom.
Thank you. I'm just going to say a couple of things. These are two pieces that I wrote based on Joyce. You will see over here some of the texts that are the points of departure for the music that I was writing. These are based on two pieces that are played, actually both by Simon Daedalus in the Sirens chapter of Ulysses. And the last thing I should say is that it's listed in your program because I thought it was called 4:30 at the Ormond, but then looking at the piece more carefully, I realized it should actually be called 3:57 at the Ormond. So if you could just take your pencils and correct that in your programs, that would be great. Here is the first of the two.
Wow. That was beautiful.
impressive piece, and all of those quotations were fabulous. And so creative, the way that you wove them in and used the text painting. What a wonderful composition. We do have some questions for you that you could answer in the chat, or that you could answer after, at the very end, when we'll come back for the Q&A. Cynthia Folio wrote that she loved this piece and the quotation. She wanted to know, what do you think the role of quotations in music is, and is it important to you that everybody gets them? Did she hear bringing in the sheaves? Bravo.
Thank you.
So we look forward to hearing more about that later on. Thank you so much. That was really an exquisite piece and performance. Bravo.
Thanks for having me.
So everybody, before we bring on the next performer, just a reminder that you can make a simple tax-deductible donation that will go to tonight's performers. Please see the link in the chat. It's easy to do, and it's through our fiscal sponsor, Crossroads Music. Now it's my great pleasure to welcome violinist Rachel Segal to the Zalon for the first time. She's performed here in my home, but this is the first time on the virtual stage, our virtual stage. Rachel Segal is a violinist and educator. She's premiered, commissioned, and performed many new works, and is particularly interested in performing music by women and composers from diverse communities. She's performed with hip-hop, rock artists, as well as symphony orchestras. Rachel is also the founder and executive director of the Primavera Fund, a very wonderful organization that promotes diversity in classical music through mentoring and supporting the ambitions of young, gifted Philadelphia musicians. Rachel will be performing a piece called Kommós for solo violin by wonderful composer and a colleague of mine, Melissa Dunphy. And I'd like to bring Melissa on to provide some brief words about her piece. Let's welcome Melissa Dunphy and Rachel Segal from Philadelphia.
Thank you so much, Andrea. It is such a pleasure to be here. So I just wanted to say really quickly, I composed Kommós about 10 years ago when I was going through a period in my life where I was in therapy and experiencing a whole range of emotions that I didn't even realize that I had been dissociating from for pretty much my entire life. And around about the same time, I also stumbled across this wonderful word that I used for the title, Kommós, which in classical Greek theater is usually taken to mean a song of lamentation, but its broader meaning is it's for a moment in a play when the tension rises to a climax of grief or horror or even joy. So my first ever solo violin piece became about the struggle and release of learning how to feel intensely as an adult who had previously suppressed strong feelings and reactions almost as a way to survive and a way to get by in the world. But something that I find really interesting about this particular piece is that although I have other solo violin works that have been performed by violinists of other genders, as far as I am aware, Kommós has only ever been performed by women. And that wasn't a choice of mine. So although I didn't really set out to write a piece that spoke specifically to women, I think it probably says something about this music that women in particular have connected it to their own experiences of intense pain and joy. I am so honored to present, and I hope you enjoy, one of the fiercest violinists that I know, Rachel Segal, performing Kommós.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay? Everyone's okay? Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be performing this, and the second piece I've played of Melissa's, and I just love her music, and I'm very, very pleased to present this to you tonight. Enjoy.
Bravo, Rachel. Bravo, Melissa.
Thank you.
Extraordinary piece.
It's awesome, yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's amazing how like the pieces that we've heard tonight and this one tell such a story. You know, this is what music does. It has this ineffable ability to portray like the deepest emotions, the greatest visions, you know, the dreams, the sorrows. It's all in
narrative and character. Like I've heard that in so many of the things tonight. That's so cool.
Yeah. You know, I'm reminded of the quote by Ezra Pound that the artist is the antenna of the human race. And I just feel like, you know, these pieces and composers today have this opportunity to intuit what is at the center of the culture. You know, what are those feelings? What are those, you know, powerful emotions that have to come through that are inspired by this time, this day, and what we're all experiencing. So thank you so much, because this was a you know, beautiful example of that. Beautifully performed, Rachel.
You're amazing, Rachel. You're amazing. I love you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you both. I hope you'll stay on until the end, and we'll talk with you a little bit more. Rachel Segal, Melissa Dunphy. Thank you.
I love Rachel's pigtails and the cat in the background. FYI.
So before I welcome the next group, again, just a reminder that you can make a simple tax-deductible donation to support the performers. So many have been out of work, even though things are opening up now. You know, for a long time, music was just not happening. And so you can contribute to the performers, making this donation through our fiscal sponsor, Crossroads Music. So that link is in the chat, and it's also on our website, zalonarts.org. I have to say, I've been really enjoying watching the Fourth Coast Ensemble sitting on a couch. They must be watching the Zalon on a big screen. It's just really fun to see you all there. And they are performing for you from their studio in Chicago. This is the Fourth Coast Ensemble, with whom I've had the great honor of working on a new commission. In fact, they'll perform a short excerpt from that tonight. Fourth Coast Ensemble is a classical vocal quartet founded in 2013. They embrace a repertoire that spans the history of the genre, from Schubert and Brahms to composers of the present day. Apart from its Chicago area concert season, Fourth Coast has accepted residencies, led panel discussions, and performed as guest artists throughout the upper Midwest. The ensemble has earned a reputation of excellence, as you will hear tonight. Fourth Coast Ensemble is soprano Sarah Vanderplo, mezzo-soprano Bridget Skaggs, tenor Ace Gangoso, and bass baritone David Govertson, with pianist Dana Brown. They're going to perform songs inspired by the life and work of Zen master, painter, poet, and activist Kazuaki Tanahashi, composed by Wayland Rogers, and a preview of a new piece they've commissioned for me, A Brush with Our Time, to libretto by Doreen Rao, adapted from one of Kaz Tanahashi's books. Tonight, we have the great honor of having Kaz Tanahashi with us tonight, and he will speak with us at the Q&A at the end of the program. I'd like to say just a word about A Brush with Our Time. This is a 40-minute work scored for vocal quartet, Japanese shakuhachi flute, and percussion. The four movements of this work offer wisdom from ancient teachings, each a transformational journey from war to peace. The cantata will be dramatized, and Kazuaki will be painting live. The premiere with the full instrumentation is scheduled for September 19th in Chicago, and I can't wait to be there with the ensemble for this exciting premiere. This evening, you will hear a preview, the overture to the cantata. Without the full instrumentation, Dana will play the shakuhachi and percussion part on the piano, which sets up the spirit of these songs of transformation. The text to the overture is Kaz Tanahashi's translation of a poem by Dogen Zenji, a 13th century Japanese Zen master. This ancient poem invites us to arise like a blooming flower, over and over again in circular form, learning lessons from history in order to know ourselves and to embody peace. Help me give a hearty welcome to the Fourth Coast Ensemble and pianist Dana Brown, performing from their studio in Chicago. I'll turn it over to the ensemble.
My name is Sarah Vanderplug, and I am a member of Fourth Coast Ensemble. We are so grateful to be able to join you from Chicago tonight through the power of technology. As Andrea shared, we are so excited to honor Kaz, your work and your legacy and your words. And it's exciting for us to share these works with you tonight. We will start with two movements from a Fourth Coast's first ever commissioned work from composer Wayland Rogers, who sadly passed away this past year. And so this is our sort of tribute to him tonight. These two songs are settings of half of one of Kaz's poems that encounter, it's called Encounter, and it celebrates the different types of relationships that human beings have with one another and how we connect with one another. And then after those two songs, we will move forward to giving you all a sneak peek of Andrea's new piece for us, A Brush with Our Time, that we are so looking forward to premiering in Chicago at the Newberry Library on September 19th with this same setup of artists plus a percussionist, shakuhachi flautist, and of course Kaz will be joining us here in Chicago. And Kaz, it's wonderful to see you here tonight as well. I'm so glad that you're here. So without further ado, Encounters.
Human to human, 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 forming a family in this world, forming a family in this world, forming a family in this world. How rare, how precious. a circular form, the blossom is full. The blossom is full, an ancient voice. In a circular form, the blossom is full, an ancient voice, an ancient voice. Myriads of petals naturally emerge. Myriads of petals naturally emerge. Blossoming flowers arise, there are millions of blossoms, billions of blossoms. Flowers arise, there are millions of blossoms. Flowers arise, they are millions of blossoms. The moon abides in the midst of serene mind. Billows break into light, into billions of blossoms, countless blossoms, billions of blossoms, countless blossoms, billions of blossoms, countless
Wow, it's what can I say? It's the first time I've heard an ensemble sing this excerpt from. I think I'm feeding back a little bit. You might have to. There we go. It's just extraordinary to be able to hear the piece coming to life, and you know, this is the overture that sets up these stories that move from war to peace. And I was so inspired by Kaz's work, and now I just feel so inspired by all of you having heard it. So thank you for this wonderful gift. And the pieces by Wayland Rogers were just beautiful. I know we all miss him so much. What a wonderful person and composer. Fourth Coast Ensemble, everybody, just beautiful performance. Thank you. Thank you. And a reminder that the poet and painter Kaz Tanahashi is here with us tonight. It's a great honor to have him, and he will be speaking with us. Are you here? Let me see, where are you? Do you want to say a quick hello, and we'll also speak to you later?
Oh, it was so wonderful, just amazing. I was sobbing. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It means the world to have you here tonight. So we look forward to speaking with you just a little bit later.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody, just a reminder to consider making a donation. Any amount helps that goes to the performers by using the link in the chat. That link is also on our website, zalonarts.org. I'm excited to present the music of Paul Brantley, a new friend we met through the McDowell page on Facebook. We've both been McDowell Fellows, and it's just amazing how we connect with people on social media. And here's Paul, a wonderful composer, who has asked Maggie Haspatcher, a wonderful bassist and vocalist, to perform one of his pieces from her home in Los Angeles. Paul is here to tell us about the piece. First, a little bit about them both. Maggie Haspatcher is an actively performing bassist and vocalist living in the Detroit area, currently a doctorate student at the University of Michigan in classical bass. She performs regularly around the country as a singer-songwriter. She just released a solo album and collaborates with composers on new pieces for double bass and voice. Composer and cellist Paul Brantley has received fellowships from the McDowell Colony, the Banff Center, and the Anderson Center. He enjoys performances of his music around the country. Paul is a recent winner of the Aliéner Harpsichord Composition Competition. He is also co-founder of Seal Bay Festival. Interesting that tonight, two different composers are presenting works inspired by James Joyce. Maggie will perform Poems Penny Each, Settings of Poems by Joyce, composed by Paul Brantley. Paul, would you say a few words about your piece for us?
Sure. Am I being heard okay?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you. And it's such beautiful music and performances already. I had the great pleasure and surprise a few summers ago to meet Maggie. We were both in the trenches playing for a bunch of conducting students up in Maine. I'm a cellist. She was playing the double bass, but we soon discovered each other, me as a composer, and then Maggie is also a wonderful composer, singer, songwriter, performing her pieces, always singing and playing the double bass simultaneously. I don't remember the exact chronology of the following or anything at this point, but shortly after coming home, Maggie sent me an arrangement she had made of a piece of mine, for which she took tremendous liberties. It was like a real arrangement. And to tell you the truth, I mean, normally I would be kind of horrified by such a thing. And she did such a beautiful job. But then, it struck that composer thing. I went, oh, voice and double bass. And so I've been a huge James Joyce fan, for ages, and I've said a number of the poems from his wonderful collection, Poems Penny Each. And so there's this lovely poem, Alone, very, very short. And Maggie, I think you performed it a number of times, and that was a couple of years ago, pre-pandemic. And I've been composing a lot of vocal music during the whole lockdown period, a number of song cycles, and I don't remember exactly, but I felt compelled to write more songs for Maggie because she just performs them. So I mean, you'll hear she's a unique performer. And so there is Alone. I'm not going to read the whole poems, but I have to read the titles and the first lines. Alone. The moon's gray golden meshes make all night a veil. And then there's Night Piece. Gaunt and gloom, the pale stars their torches, enshrouded wave. And then the third, Bahnhofstrasse, the eyes that mock me sign the way, whereto I pass at eve of day. This completely wonderfully crazed, very short poem and a very short piece. Thank you. Let me mute here.
Okay. All right.
things that got me as I go.
Maggie, thank you so much. You've really, I've never heard these pieces, but it just feels like you have embodied them. And I can see why Paul is so excited about your performance, because you have, like, you're just speaking through the bass like your partner, and it's a beautiful pairing. And the pieces are just gorgeous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Andrea. And thank you, Paul. I love performing them.
Thank you, Maggie. Beautiful.
Paul Brantley, Maggie Haspatcher, sorry about a couple of glitches on Zoom. I think Wi-Fi, it certainly was not the playing. Just a beautiful collaboration too. When I asked Paul if he wanted to have any of his pieces performed, he immediately thought of Maggie, and he said what she does with this piece just moves him so much. And I think you've moved all of us too. People are saying that it sounds a little bit like Bjork. So you have a very unique quality of being able to sing, and that your voice can blend with an instrument that's so different from it, register-wise and otherwise. So thank you for that. You know, you're just wonderful gifts, Maggie. I'm so pleased to welcome back to the Zalon three-time Emmy-nominated pianist-composer Steve Sandberg. Steve is a longtime pupil of Seymour Bernstein, leads the Steve Sandberg Quartet, whose concerts combine performances of classical music with improvisations that are based on these pieces, and also draw from Latin, African, Balkan jazz, and East Indian traditions. Steve is making his debut at the Barge in New York on July 9th with wonderful violinist Zach Brock. And there's more information on Steve's website. Let's give it up for Steve Sandberg, who will be playing music by Chopin and his own music inspired by Chopin's from his apartment in Manhattan. Steve Sandberg.
I am obsessed with the Chopin mazurkas. These are a series of incredible pieces based on folk dances from the Polish countryside that Chopin revisited through his entire life. And one of the things that really strikes me about the mazurkas is this very eccentric kind of rhythm that no one quite knows how to play. I think it has to do with people jumping off the ground on one of the beats of the mazurkas, which is constantly changing. Sometimes it's the first beat, sometimes it's the second, sometimes the third. Liszt wrote a book about Chopin called Chopin, which has an entire chapter about the mazurkas, where he goes very deeply into this music. And my favorite quotes from this chapter at the end, after a long discussion of what a mazurka is, he says, "The only thing you can say for sure about a mazurka is nothing is what it seems." So it's a very quickly changing kind of world in the mazurka. So in my world classical music project, I take classical pieces and I write original compositions based on these pieces, taking them into all the musics that I've played in my life, which is Latin music, Brazilian music, African music, Indian music, Balkan music. And this is the second mazurka that I've written a composition based on. And I've taken this into the world of the South American chacarera, which is another 3/4 rhythm, which is very striking and evocative, but is a completely different rhythmic framework. The only other thing I'll say about it is in Western music, we tend to place the downbeat on the one. So we have boom, 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 boom. In African music and a lot of indigenous music, the downbeat is in the treble and the bass is not playing on the one. So this is a feature of the composition that I wrote. So you might hear me doing a little grunting and shouting to provide the downbeats. So this is the Chopin C-sharp mazurka followed by my mazur.
that was just wonderful. Could really hear the essence of the Chopin in your music, inspired by it, and what you chose to take was so essential to this Chopin pieces. They were just like nuggets of truth, and then you wove your magic around it.
Thank you. By the way, there was a lot of improvisation in my performance too. That's one of the things I provide for.
It's wonderful, and I can't wait to have you here and perform on my Steinway. We've been talking.
I can't wait. I've heard wonderful things about it.
Next season for sure. Thank you so much, Steve Sandberg, everybody, and take a look at his website to learn about his upcoming concerts. Thank you so much. So everyone, another reminder to consider making a tax-deductible donation to support the performers. The link is in the chat. And also remember to check out the artist page where you can learn more about these wonderful artists. They have ways that you can purchase their recordings and ways that you can also donate to them personally. So do check that out. That link is also in the chat. I'm delighted to once again present Michelle Lewis, who was here at the very first Zalon in April 2020. And your performances that are this paradox between joy and sadness, it seems so perfect that you perform for us at the beginning of the pandemic and then at the end of the pandemic, because there's so much emotion in there. Michelle just wants to make you cry. If that sounds like a lot of despair, she says it isn't. The sad songs leave you smiling. Her joyful songs leave you in tears. As an artist, she lives for this paradox of the uplifting lament, and this duality makes hers a fascinating voice. Her music spoke to us as we were isolated, confused, and alone at the beginning of the pandemic, and we're so happy to have you back. Help me welcome back Michelle Lewis, performing original songs from her home in Los Angeles.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, you guys. Everyone's been lovely to hear so far, and it's kind of a nice bookend of the pandemic to be back here again. So thanks, Andrea. I'm gonna start with one of my it's almost an older tune by now, but it's probably one of my most popular. My husband and I put out a music video for this song when it came out, and based it around the Boston Marathon, which I'm originally from Boston in Massachusetts. So I'm going to give you guys a link to that so you can watch it later after the salon is over. But in case you're interested, this is called Run, Run, Run. From the Colorado mountains to the California sun, I won't stop until I get there. I will run, run, run. I've been lonely for a long time, always searching for someone. Still not sure what I am looking for, so I will run, run, run. There's no use in making plans, 'cause there's no telling what's to come. Just when you think you have a chance, the strings you've tied all come undone. I have loved you since I met you, always knew you were the one. If you need me, I'll come get you. Yes, I will run, run, run. There's no use in making plans, 'cause when you think you have a chance, all the strings you've tied have come undone. I have loved you for a long time, always knew you were the one. If you need me, I'll be by your side. Yes, I will run, run, run. I will run, run, run. I will run, run, run. Thank you. Thank you so much. I love hearing woos and not knowing where they're coming from, but keep them coming. This is sort of the debut of this song, I think, in a way, at least to most people so far. I think I did it, at a private party back in April, but this is a song about the decisions we make and how we make them, and just the feeling that this, last year has brought all of us. That feels really heavy at times, and so that's what I was thinking about while I was writing this one. What do you do when your dream has died? Do you step out of the way? Do you run away and hide? And do you stand up straight, look it in the eye? Oh, what do you do when your dream has died? What do you do when your love is lost? Do you make some other plans? Tell yourself you're better off? Or do you stick around no matter what the cost? Or what do you do when your love is lost? This strain is killing me. The weight of all the earth, so much more than gravity. And this shame is haunting me. How come where we are is never where we want to be? Oh, what do you do when all hope is gone? Do you try with all your might, tell yourself to just be strong? Do you take what's left and try to move on? Oh, what do you do when all hope is gone? This strain is killing me. The weight of all the earth, so much more than gravity. This shame is haunting me. How come where we are is never where we want to be? What do you do when your dream has died? Do you give your heart a break? Tell yourself you really tried? Or do you hear that voice and push it aside? Or what do you do when your dream has died? What do you do Right. Y'all are awesome. You guys rock. I think I have time for one more quickie. If you want to learn more about me, I know Andrea sent out the links and everything, but it's michelleLewismusic.com. You can find music and merch and hopefully tour dates soon. So I know I'm going to be, if anybody's tuning in from Boston or New England, I'm going to be at one of my favorite venues over in Somerville, Mass. It's called the Burren on August 8th. So that's going to be my first real public live show thing in like at least 18 months, if not probably more. So I'm very excited about that.
Deserves a woohoo!
Oh, yeah. Thank you. All right. I'm now in my new home of Los Angeles. Been here about 6 years. And so I wrote this tune actually about a year before we moved to LA, not knowing that we would move here. But I was coming home late from the studio one night. I was out here to record my second record, and this kind of melody just popped into my head. And actually, it's kind of appropriate for this. Maybe you won't agree, but for my folk sensibility, it kind of has a very classical movement. And in fact, we have like a little string quartet on the recording of it. This is called Lost in LA. Thanks again for having me. I'm lost in LA tonight without you. The city seems empty, my heart torn in two. Things start to blur, can't tell them apart. There are no stars in the sky, the freeway's so dark. Please don't go to Reno, Tahoe, or Sparks, 'cause I'm lost in LA without you. I'm lost in LA tonight without you. Been down on Melrose and Sunset Avenues, wandered the Getty and its maze made of art, saw Paramount Pictures where Popeye got his start. Who'll take my photo by the Hollywood stars? I'm lost in LA without you. Stay here tonight, don't get on that flight that takes you far away from me. I'm lost in LA tonight without you. This bed feels so cold, my heart's sore and blue. Don't go to Reno, Tahoe, or Sparks, 'cause I'm lost in LA without you. I'm lost in LA without you. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, Michelle.
Hope to see you all real soon.
Such sweet and beautiful music. Thank you so much. And again, being the bookends for us of this very intense year, you give us so much of yourself and your expressive voice and beautiful words too. So thank you for performing again, Michelle.
Thank you, Andrea.
And Michelle will stay on with us. We have one more performer before we'll open things up to an informal Q&A. Also, just a reminder that we will have a virtual toast. It's something that we do at the end of every Zalon, so please have your drink of choice ready for our toast and consider donating to these wonderful artists. The link is in the chat. Now it's my great pleasure to bring you Melinda Failer, a Brooklyn-based pianist and multimedia collaborator, to bring a multi-layered close to this evening. Melinda works with media, dance, theater, film, and electronics. She's performed at the New York City Fringe Festival, National Sawdust, The Stone, Joyce Theater, Dixon Place, and Roulette, among others. A graduate of Oberlin College and the Manhattan School of Music, Melinda's currently the organist and pianist for the Lutheran Church of Our Savior. Melinda is going to perform selected movements from a work in progress that she calls Holiday, a quarantine-inspired work. from her home in Newark, New Jersey. Let's give it up for Melinda Failer.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'll try to keep it brief and describe pieces a little bit. So I am presenting two pieces. One is Count Your Breaths, and the second is Crisis Daddy. And so this album is sort of an experiment in taking single sound samples or sound sources and manipulating them to create all of the electronic parts, and then coupling that with some live piano. So Count Your Breaths was accordion samples. I play a little bit of accordion, not really. And then it's sort of supposed to be evocative of, Count Your Breaths is a reference to meditation and yoga and calming yourself. Also, as a mother of a toddler, counting your breaths is a way to get them to calm down. And so that was kind of what I was working with this past year as well. And also people being on ventilators with COVID. So just to give you a little bit of a background for that. And the second piece, Crisis Daddy, is, I started this before, it's about Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York. And so the samples are all samples of his voice and manipulated and layered. So this was before all of the harassment, allegations and everything had come out. I still decided to make the piece because I had an idea and I wanted to see it through. So it's not meant to be an ode really, or a tribute, but it's kind of I don't know, it's an experiment, it's an idea. So it's going to take me just a second to set up here because I have a couple things.
Let's listen to the voices of our better angels. Let's listen to the voices of our better angels. Let's listen to the voices of our better angels and as a society. Let's listen to the voices of our better angels and as a society. The panic and the fear is wholly disconnected from the reality. The panic and the fear is wholly disconnected from the reality. The panic and the fear is wholly disconnected from the reality. The panic and the fear is wholly disconnected from the reality. The panic and the fear is wholly disconnected. Undefeatable. That's undefeatable. That's undefeatable. And that the pressure is on. Pressure is on what people are made of. And that when the pressure is on, and that when the pressure is on, pressure really see what people are made of. Pressure, I'm gonna be quarantined, I'm gonna be locked down. And that when the pressure is on, pressure is on. And that when the pressure is on, really see what happens. And when we get through it, your greatest weakness is also your greatest strength. And we will be there for each other. And when we get through it, but let's make sure at the end of the day that we can say we are the better for it.
Hope it wasn't buzzy or, you know.
Wild.
Good.
Thank you so much, Melinda. It felt like dreaming while awake. Like
Oh.
you you taking this, into this mesmerizing dream state, and the words I'm sure resonated with people in different ways. It was very transporting.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. So we'd love to talk to you a little bit if you can stay on. For right now, we're going to just all come together and get ready for our toast. Thank you, Melinda, for this beautiful music, and all the performers for what felt to me like a very personal evening. It's really meaningful to me when we can come together like this to share creative artistry in such an intimate way in community, and it feels palpable even through the screen. A last reminder that you can make a tax-deductible donation to support the performers. It's easy to do, and the link is in the chat. A video of tonight's program will be posted on the Zalon website in just a few days, and you're welcome to invite your friends to watch. Performers, I'm so deeply grateful to you for sharing your extraordinary gifts. Engineers, Jonah Pfluger, Gerardo Razumny, Lex Simakis, Alex Glass, thank you so much for your time and expertise in helping things run smoothly. And I'm so grateful for this special and expanding Zalon and Salon community. The next Salon will be the first mini hybrid on July 25th with a limited audience in my home and streamed. And mark your calendars for the 35-year anniversary on September 26th. So let's show our appreciation to the performers and engineers with one more big round of applause for everybody. Thank you.
Hey to Andrea.
Thank you, Laura. Everybody have your drinks. To art, to health, to community, to life. Cheers and l'chaim.
Hi, my dear.
L'chaim.